Namaste, Jai Hind, and we are in conversation with somebody I always look forward to having a chat with. And this time he's come to our studio for this very special endeavor, a very podcast format of the right perspective. Ram Madhav ji, Namaste.
Namaskar.
Let me first ask, and let's take the bull by the horns. Is all well between the RSS and the BJP?
You see, RSS BJP is a fodder for all of you, the relationship.
Especially after what happened.
And certain events, certain statements have given a lot of fodder to the media. But let me tell you, the relationship is always on the same very even footing. We realize, we know that it's a family. In a family, people will have divergent roles, occasionally divergent views also, but that doesn't mean there is disharmony. We take necessary care to ensure that it doesn't lead to disharmony, lead to any major, friction or anything. But we accept the reality that occasionally there can be a little bit of divergence here and there.
Three statements I want your point of view on. One is Nadda ji saying, "Hum Sangh ke bina saksham hai." And this was happening around the peak of the elections. Did that send a kind of a message to the RSS, or was that just a manifestation of perhaps all is not well at the ground level in terms of coordination?
I read the full interview. It was subsequently published in that newspaper. I read the verbatim text of it. He definitely didn't mean it. Maybe the choice of words, the way it was articulated, could have led to an impression that as though he was saying we don't want RSS anymore. I'm sure he did not mean it. Nevertheless, I would only add that when such confusion arises from a statement that we make. I also have been in the public life for many years. I know sometimes what we say can lead to some kind of misunderstanding or
You've been at the wrong end of it
misinterpretation.
quite often. Yeah.
So ideally, we should clarify it by evening and then try and put it to the rest, put it to rest. But otherwise, what he probably meant was the general position that we take, organizational position, that RSS is not a political body. We are not there to, jump into elections to support BJP or a political party and all that. Swayamsevaks out of goodwill do that, we know. Closest to Swayamsevak's heart is always the BJP and its leadership, even today. But as an organization, RSS maintains a scrupulous distance. That's what he meant, probably. But it was highlighted differently, that led to some confusion.
And the clarification also didn't happen.
I agree. It could have happened, probably. That would have put to rest. See, what happens is, if we don't clarify what can happen is, I'm saying it in a very generalized, very generalized context. 10 years down the line, somebody may quote this statement again. And you see in 2024 itself, it was stated like this. So ideally, when such things happen, we generally come forward and say that, no, this is not what we meant. I recall a very interesting, incident. We all know the controversy over Sri Advaniji's, one noting that he made at the mausoleum of Jinnah when he visited Pakistan in 2005. It became a huge controversy. George Fernandez came to RSS office. I was the spokesperson of the RSS at that time. He came to the RSS office to meet with our leaders. He said something interesting. See, we politicians sometimes make a statement in the morning. Looking at certain political objective, we make a statement. Sometimes that statement can become a controversy by afternoon. Then by evening, what we generally do is we simply say that, no, I was misquoted, quoted out of context. I will simply blame you, media.
Correct.
The idea is that, okay, having achieved my political objective, let me put the controversy to rest. That's how it should be always. Sometimes, unintentionally, what we say can become a controversy. We should quickly try to, end that controversy.
And then Mohanji Bhagwat makes two important statements at the commemoration event in Nagpur soon after the elections. First is the conversation around Manipur. The opposition has been gunning at the Prime Minister saying, you never spoke about Manipur, you never went to Manipur, you've been quiet about Manipur. And then the Sarsang Chalak, he speaks, Mohanji Bhagwat speaks, and he says, 1 year you've not resolved Manipur. That perhaps when you see it in conjunction with what Mr. Nadda said, perhaps amplified the whole aspect that there is a wedge and there is a difference or a divergence. How would you see it? Because you've written a piece saying that perhaps Mohanji Bhagwat has been misread.
Misunderstood because of the timing of that statement, probably. It came at a very crucial time and prone to interpretations. That was the kind of situation at that time that statement came out. But let me remind your viewers that the RSS has been raising this issue of peace in Manipur from time to time in the last 1 year. There was a resolution some 6 months ago, highlighting the challenge there, and there should be proactive, steps taken to resolve that conflict. So from time to time, the RSS has been raising concern over the situation in Manipur. We all know that Manipur is a border state, an important state, sensitive state, and a conflict like this to continue for more than a year is not good for overall integrity of the country. From that context only, Bhagwatji reiterated that sentiment which RSS has been raising from time to time. And he only said that, it has already been a year or so. We should give utmost priority to resolve it. Normal circumstances, that is not at all a controversial statement. There is nothing in it to see it as a controversy. But, timing and the kind of situation in which that statement came probably led to some people misinterpret it as though he was criticizing the government. Not at all. It was a general observation.
But let me ask you, push you a little on Manipur, because you've also worked in the Northeast. You understand the dynamics there. Is there a difference in the political view and what's happening socially or sociologically on ground? Is there a problem there? And can this be resolved? Because about 5-6 years, yes, Manipur, there used to be disruptions in the past which used to be blanked out to the national media. But under the Prime Minister or Modi Sarkar between 2014 to 2020, till this all flared up, 22, it was largely peaceful. There was a certain level of peace. A High Court order, can it so disrupt the peace there, or is there a greater dynamic?
Some of us who have dealt with the northeastern states, we know that those states always sit on a tinderbox. There can be any number of triggers, any number of things that can incite or create violent situations there. We have to be always very vigilant, very proactive in addressing such conflicts there, because it's a very, very diverse society. The situation in Manipur today, meaning the conflict between two communities, the Meiteis on one side and the Kukis on the other side, is not new to that state. You mentioned about peace in the last 10 years, which even Bhagwatji referred to in his speech.
Correct.
There has been a relatively calm, quiet situation in that state for the last 10 years. When he said it, was he not giving credit to the government?
Yes.
He was saying that you could keep that state peaceful for 10 years. Which is a fact, because when we established our government for the first time in 2017, there was an ongoing standoff between Meiteis and Kukis. There was a blockade.
Yeah.
There was a serious friction. But we resolved it in 6 weeks. Just 6 weeks we resolved that crisis. Both communities got together and the situation was brought back to normalcy. That normalcy remained for 8 years. A flare-up happened. I don't want to go into the reasons. I'm aware of what happened, but let's not go into that. But then we have to quickly address that conflict, because those areas are prone to such conflicts. So there needs to be certain proactive engagement with both communities and try and resolve it. That's all what even Bhagwatji meant. And you asked, can it be done? I would say it should be done. It's not the question of can. It should be done because it's our country. It's a sensitive state. You can't let it simmer like that.
But is there international interference in Manipur?
When such crises happen in any border state, there could be some vested interest. Nobody denies it. But we can't make that an excuse to allow it to linger on. I recall when people tell me that international conspiracy and all that, I recall what Indira Gandhi used to say every time. If somebody criticized her about some border situation, she would say it's all international conspiracy. There will be forces. Nobody denies it. But can that be an excuse? Nobody is taking that excuse in the government for that matter. Some activists may say there are international elements. There will always be international forces which want to weaken our social fabric, our national unity. But we have tackled them in all these years. We have tackled much more complex situations. Situation like Kashmir has been tackled. So not that we cannot do it, it cannot happen. Probably it has to take more, a greater priority should be accorded to it. Government has already started, is now seized up the matter. Home Minister has already held meetings. I'm sure it will be addressed.
There's another thing Mohanji Bhagwat said. A sevak must never be arrogant. This was also directly seen as a message to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, because he's also been a lifetime pracharak for a long time before he moved into the BJP and into the political arena. Was this message to him? Was there something about this entire aspect of the BJP has become too arrogant, and that arrogance perhaps resulted in the story of slipping down from 303 to 240?
I have been in the RSS for 50 plus years now. This statement that a Swayam Sevak, not Sevak, a Swayam Sevak should not have arrogance, ahankar. The word used, ahankar.
Yeah, ahankar.
I have heard as a child, 5-year-old child. It's an integral message of RSS that when you serve the country, serve it with nishkam bhav. Don't expect anything that I am doing it, so I should get rewarded for it. That's the basic value or character moral character that RSS tries to build in every Swayam Sevak. So to your question, is it for Prime Minister Modi ji? I would say no. It is for 5 million Swayam Sevaks across the country, or for that matter, 1.4 billion Indians. We serve the country without having any ahankara. It's a very, that's why I said, very ordinary statement, which every RSS chief has said in the past. Every RSS leader says today, when he goes to give a baudik to his cadres, he says, no, don't have any ahankar that you are doing, so you don't expect anything in return. Do it without expecting anything in return. But again, context, situation, the kind of discourse that was prevalent at that time had led to some interpret as if it is a statement against one leader or something like that. These are general value or virtue building aspects that RSS always does. We tell our cadres that, you have to do things without any, this thing.
So it was not a timely reminder that don't forget where you come from and what you stand for.
So it's a part of our normal training, virtue building activity. If we want to build a good Swayam Sevak, we have to tell him certain things. Not everything should be, interpreted as though it is being said only for one person, namely the Prime Minister or somebody in the party. No, it is a general observation.
So then let me ask you, what is your observation of what went wrong in UP, Haryana, in Maharashtra? Especially these. We'll come to the south in a bit, but these...
Okay, see, the leadership of the party is better placed to analyze these things.
I'm asking you as a Swayam Sevak from the RSS point of view.
But like any other Swayam Sevak, I am also disappointed with the kind of outcome, and especially certain things are very sentimental. You don't expect this kind of a performance in Faizabad or Ayodhya seat. Those things really cause a little, disappointment, you call it, or, some pain, you call it. It happens. Why it happened? Maybe it needs to be analyzed politically by the political party, but I would only probably think that the kind of political arrangement that the opposition could work out in that state, namely the Samajwadi Party and Congress Party coming together, and they were able to create some kind of a social engineering in that state, that has resulted in that kind of a mandate in UP. I'm not just talking about Ayodhya, but generally in UP. Look at Bihar, where BJP has succeeded in creating their social engineering. with Nitish Kumar on its side,
Hum,
with Chirag
LGP.
Paswan on its side, Jitan Ram Manjhi on its side. The necessary social engineering was in BJP's favor. It almost swept the state. I would, very simplistically speaking, I would say it's a result of certain social engineering resulted out of the political alignments that has led to this kind of outcome. I put it that way.
But that's UP. What about Maharashtra?
Oh, similar situation. No? Maharashtra also, the kind of political arrangements that the opposition could work out probably went against the formation of the BJP. Those things BJP will certainly analyze and take, corrective steps.
So you feel that it's not decisions made by the BJP, the political alignments there. Is the BJP on its own, when it is taking decisions as a political body, moving away from what the Sangh's interpretation of a DNA match would be?
There's no question of moving away and all that, because on political issues, RSS doesn't interfere. It's party's prerogative. With whom to have alliance with
But the
whom
opposition,
to-
opposition alleges that there is an RSS person sitting in every political meeting. The RSS is very integral to the entire political decision making of the BJP and the
on
government.
on the contrary, Anand, the interlocutor from the RSS side, he doesn't ever attend any party meetings. That's our system. He will only communicate whatever RSS wants to communicate. If there is anything, definitely not to do with day-to-day politics, but on the larger national issues like, so for example, Manipur or something else, he will communicate it to certain senior leaders in the party. Even he doesn't go and sit in the party meetings. So where is the question of RSS leader sitting in every party meeting? Please remember, when we say RSS, do you think that those leaders in BJP, they are not RSS? They are also RSS. RSS is an ideological movement of which everybody is a part and parcel, integral part and parcel. Those in the BJP, those in the RSS, and those in other organizations are also RSS people. They understand.
You are an RSS leader. You're former National General Secretary of the BJP. So you worked within the BJP also, and you worked in very key areas also. Are you saying that there is no interference? Are you saying that there is no intermingling of the leaders and thought process? Once you move from Sangh to party, do you delink yourself from the Sangh altogether and you follow the party line? Is that
As
how
I
it
said,
happens?
on day-to-day political issues, there's never any interference. I was there in the party for almost 7 years, 6.5 years. Of course, I am RSS. So are even Prime Minister, many others. They are all RSS. We understand what is the thinking of the average RSS member, namely the Swayamsevak. We understand that. So we try to run our politics keeping that always in mind. But RSS as an organization never interferes on a day-to-day basis. If there is something to be conveyed, to be communicated to us about any particular thing, if they have a concern, for example, they communicate. And we understand that if RSS is saying, means RSS doesn't have any self-interest. It is saying, keeping the larger interest of the movement or country in mind. To what extent it has to be accommodated in our scheme of things, we think and do it when we are in BJP. Today I'm in RSS, but I'm saying that's how a BJP leader or the BJP leadership thinks.
So when the real politic kicks in, then do the dynamics of a socially driven organization, its point of view, does it then have to be counterbalanced with real politics when you're into a political party? And how much of a difference does that make?
Look, what is the objective of politics? It is ultimately to serve the country by winning power, right?
Yeah.
If I have to serve the country through the political power process, I have to listen to everybody. Much more to my own well-wishers.
Correct.
So, that when in BJP we all used to understand that importance, after all it's our parivar. And those in BJP today also they understand that this is all my parivar and that's my first strength. Then I build on this strength, I build much bigger, support base. So in politics, every voice matters. and much more when it is the voice of your own people. So that's how leaders think, and that's how leaders should think.
Is it a cause for worry if you see in the elections? And let's bring in another aspect, two important aspects. One is with respect to Jammu and Kashmir, and more importantly, extremist elements. So if people like Amritpal Singh, Beyant Singh's son, get elected in Punjab, and Engineer Rashid gets elected and defeats Umar Abdullah in Baramulla, is there a worrying trend? And the kind of activity or renewed activity in the Jammu region that we are seeing with the terrorist activity and the clear shift of the theatre of action, are we looking at some challenging times in Jammu and Kashmir? How do you read the situation there? See,
About the first
because
part
that
of it.
comes historically on at the back of some phenomenal voter turnout, especially in the Kashmir Valley. Jammu had already always turned good numbers in terms of voter turnout, but in the Kashmir Valley also we saw 40-45% voter turnout. So soon after that, for this to happen, how would you read it?
It has to be seen from two different prisms. First, the mandate given to these 2-3 leaders who are known separatist leaders. They are known. Like Mr. Amritpal Singh is in jail, so is Engineer Rashid in jail. Even Beyant Singh's son has his own loyalty to the Khalistan cause. So those leaders getting the mandate of the people somewhere sends a message that we have to be alert to the reality that there is a constituency which still believes in this kind of propaganda. Does it mean everybody is like that? No. They had the mandate needed to win that seat. To that extent, whatever support base is there, that should be watched carefully. There some work has to happen through us also. Probably social organizations have to do, political parties also have to do. But the silver lining part of it is, those who stand for a separatist cause also, when they come to parliament tomorrow, they have to take their oath on the Indian Constitution. Meaning, I will protect, preserve the unity and integrity of this country. That is the silver lining of it. An avowed separatist willing to join the political process of the country and taking oath in the name of the constitution is in a way a good thing. Now we have to build on that. We have to try and end their separatist rhetoric, you call it, separatist arguments, you call it. About Kashmir, I want to add something very important here. We always talk about this percentage of voting, which is very significant, very important. But what happened this time was, even someone like Mirwais, the most respected separatist voice in the valley, openly gave a statement before elections that I'm not against elections, I'm not against people of Kashmir going and voting. It's a very big win for India's democracy. That those who always held India's constitution to be an oppressive type of instrument that is oppressing people of Kashmir are today coming out and saying, no, we are a part and parcel of this democratic process. We are happy to be in this democratic process. Leaders of Jamaat, there were instructions for them from across the border to oppose this election, everything. I mean, this is like accepting India's sovereignty over Kashmir. Don't accept it. But they not only rejected those calls from across the border, but publicly went out to vote and went out to display their vote symbol. How they voted that mark. So, a very significant, perceptible change is taking place in Kashmir. That's what even Prime Minister said yesterday. This change that we see is not just, don't read it only in terms of numbers. The real change that is happening in the attitudes. The greater acceptance that we are an integral part of this country is what the efforts of this government have resulted in Kashmir today. I think that is the bigger story about Kashmir than the mere numbers or even the victory of an Engineer Rashid there.
But there are many, or some of the cynics say that those who are inimical to the country, or those, they've perfected the art of using the constitution to subvert the constitution. So the idea would be to draw power, use the constitution, look to be subservient to it or respectful to it, and eventually use it to take what you believe is yours. and break away. Now, is that a danger also?
That was possible probably before 2019. I mean, if we are talking in the context of Jammu and Kashmir especially, that was possible before 2019 because there was what is called Article 370 there, allowing for certain amount of, separatism, soft separatism, as a part of the political system itself.
Right.
But today, nobody can say that Constitution gives you an opportunity to perpetuate your separatist agendas and all. No, once today you accept India's Constitution, you have to be loyal to India's unity and integrity. You have to be committed to it.
Ram Madhav, some time back you said that sometimes when you make a statement, you should retract it. Otherwise, years down the line, it may come back to bite you because history sometimes is hazy, and there is also this entire revisionism that happens. So it is subject to interpretation. Something that Mohanji Bhagwat said in 2015 in Bihar about reservation. Do you think it still continues to haunt the BJP and the RSS on ground? This entire संविधान बदल देंगे, 400 पार यानी 2/3 बहुमत संविधान बदल देंगे, तुम्हारा आरक्षण छीन लेंगे.
Oh, first of all, Bhagwat ji has never said anything like that, even in 2015. Even in 2015, what he said was totally different. Nothing to do with changing the constitution, nothing to do with doing away with reservations or anything. No such thing was said. But again, sometimes when we say something, it can be interpreted differently, especially at the time of the elections and all. Something like that, some unfortunate interpretation, wrong interpretation happened at the time, but remember, it was immediately clarified. And Mohan Bhagwat ji misses no opportunity to reiterate that Sangha is fully committed to the Constitution of India, and we are fully in support of the present arrangement as far as the reservations are concerned. We do feel the need for continuance of that arrangement for many years because the social situation still remains, where social discrimination is a day-to-day reality for a large section of our scheduled caste and scheduled tribe brethren. So, on that issue, I would say, first of all, it was very wrongly interpreted by people like Lalu Prasad Yadav. Then immediately the media tried to amplify it. But we clarified at that time itself. We mean at that time RSS itself has clarified. And subsequently, on many occasions, including the latest occasion, the speech which became a little controversial. In that speech also, Bhagwat ji again reiterated that the RSS is fully committed to these principles of Indian Constitution.
But this narrative about Hindutva and BJP's Hindutva agenda being casteist and Hinduism being casteist. Now let's just bring something currently that's happened. I'm sure you're aware of what Justice Chandru's recommendations are to the Tamil Nadu government, where they have turned around and said that Tamil Nadu on ground, the caste symbols have to... And it's all been done purely looking at the Hindu way of life from a very casteist prism. And this is what they want, school children, no tilak, because it represents a certain caste, no kalava, all of that. But Muslims can wear hijab, and the justification is Shias and Sunnis don't differentiate in hijab. That's what Mr. Elangovan says. How would you see a move like this? Because this entire caste bogey is being played on both ways.
Whether the caste system is relevant today or not is a very sociological question. We have to separate it from whether caste plays a role in politics or not. We should not confuse these two things. Caste does play a role in Indian politics today, unfortunately. We in RSS, some may disagree in RSS also with this view, but I have heard even RSS Chief Bhagwat ji stating that caste as a social institution has outlived its utility. Let's not go into whether it was the right institution or not. Maybe it served its purpose. Because it is an institution, old order changeth, yielding place to the new, lest one good custom corrupted the whole world. Tennyson's famous quote.
Yes.
So, this system, if somebody believes that it served its purpose, maybe it served its purpose in history, maybe, I don't know. But today, it has outlived its utility. That's why Bhagwat ji recalled what the third RSS chief, Balasaheb Devras, said in a speech in Pune, that this caste system should go lock, stock and barrel. But that is a very sociological process. There is no reason to link it to today's political discourse. Political discourse is altogether different today. In today's political context, scheduled castes and scheduled tribes need certain protection, certain constitutional protection. That constitutional protection, for it to be upheld, RSS is fully in support of it. So this is a political discourse. This is a very governance-related, constitution-related discourse in which we are fully with the current arrangement. Caste as a sociological arrangement, as I said, Bhagwatji in his speech said, it should go lock,
But
stock
how
and
do you
barrel.
see Tamil Nadu? How do you see Tamil Nadu's political interpretation that Sanatan Dharma, when they abuse Sanatan Dharma, they're not abusing Hinduism or the Hindu way of life, they're abusing the Sanatan Dharma, which is casteist. And it's an RSS philosophy. You see a whole narrative, and that's why they're bringing these recommendations in schools where they're saying blue cycle, red cycle will not be allowed. You cannot wear tilak, you cannot wear any symbolism there. How do you see that? Because in the north, the narrative is jiski jitni sankhya bhari. And there you're saying, oh, this is the one way of life which is casteist, so we got to reject it altogether.
So let the opposition parties, which take different kind of arguments in different states, let them first of all come out with a coherent argument. On one hand, you want caste to be upheld, and then it has to be census should be conducted and all that. On the other hand, you blame casteism as something as a scourge of Hinduism. If it is a scourge, why do you want caste census? Then remove it simply.
That's exactly.
So that's why I said there is a political discourse about caste, which is very parochial. There can be a debate over whether there should be a caste census or not. We in RSS always felt that anything that leads to further fragmentation of the society should be discouraged. Caste as it was understood in Sanatana Dharma as Varna was totally different.
Yes.
Until the 6th century AD, the Christian era, 6th century, there were caste distinctions were not very serious in our country.
Yeah.
Intercaste marriages were quite normal until 6th century.
Yeah.
Something happened during the rule of invaders from 7th century onwards, which led to very rigid caste distinctions coming in, and then a lot of other things happened, untouchability, many things happened. So today we have to overcome all those things. But the political discourse is very opportunistic about it. Where it suits you, you use caste.
Correct.
Where you have to, attack BJP RSS, you will say caste is the scourge of Sanatana Dharma. But if it is scourge, why are you using it?
Correct.
So this is all very politically opportunistic argument that needs to be tackled at a different level.
What's the difference between Andhra, Telangana and Tamil Nadu, Kerala? Why is it that the BJP NDA has seen a certain amount of rise in, footprint in Andhra and Telangana, especially with Chandrababu Naidu and Pawan Kalyan, very strongly Hindutva, but to gather some ground roots seeding in Tamil Nadu and Kerala still be a challenge?
No, even in Tamil Nadu and
with
Kerala,
Annamalai, well, there's
Tamil
a
Nadu,
shift,
In Tamil Nadu today, BJP got 12% vote.
Yeah.
In Kerala, it got 16% vote, which is not a small thing. In a take Kerala, it's a very polarized state politically, not religiously. I'm talking politically polarized state between the UPA alliance and the left alliance,
LDF and UDF.
LDF and UDF. They are very polarized kind of political atmosphere there. Even in such a polarized place, BJP could get 16% vote share, and for the first time they won one parliament seat. Earlier, BJP used to win an assembly seat occasionally. They won the parliament seat also. And in Tamil Nadu also, please don't forget that there was a time 20 years ago, BJP had 6 MPs from Tamil Nadu. From Andhra Pradesh also, there have always been MPs, always. Never was a situation where there was, except 2019. So there, occasionally, there used to be alliances. Out of alliance, there used to get good victories and all. Telangana is a very good story for BJP. Telangana, the BJP's vote share went up about 20% today. And they won almost half the parliament seats. Out of 19, they won 8 seats. It's a wonderful rise for BJP in Telangana. I'm sure in the coming days in Telangana, BJP will grow further. Again, in Telangana, the politics is returning to national politics, national party competition. There was a phase of regionalism there.
Yeah.
BRS,
yeah.
from 2014 to 2024 was the phase when regionalism played an important role in Telangana politics. But I believe that regionalism's phase is over. Telangana will have national politics now. Andhra Pradesh remains a state still in regional politics. So is Tamil Nadu. These two states still have regional parties as strong parties. BJP probably has to do a little more hard work to bring them into national political thing. Not that regional parties are bad, but regional parties also should be there, but national parties also should have a bigger say. But I think Kerala BJP will grow.
From an analyst point of view, is this alliance looking stable? From the NDA, many believe that the Hindutva agenda will now have to take a back seat. Core issues of the Jansangh, from the time of the Jansangh which remained, will now not be pushed. There will be a much more softer government, and maybe for just 18 to 24 months, and again there could be a flux in the polity and the political
Look, with 182 MPs, Atal Bihari Vajpayee ran 5 years of successful coalition government, much more difficult government, remember. He had to get the support of 115 MPs from 23 parties to run that government. It lasted for full 5 years successfully. With 232 MPs, P.V. Narasimha Rao ran a successful government for 5 years. What makes one to think that with 240 seats, just 30 short of majority, this government will be unstable? And if anybody wants to, just conclude that Prime Minister Modi cannot run a coalition, they must be living in a fool's paradise. He is a politician who has seen 30 years of political life. He has had 30 years of experience in political life. He has seen coalitions as party's general secretary. He has seen coalition governments. He is running a coalition government for last 10 years. NDA is a coalition government. BJP is running coalition governments in Maharashtra, in Assam, in other states, as a part of a coalition in Andhra Pradesh. Why should one think that what Narasimha Rao or Vajpayee could do, Modi ji cannot do? And what is the alternative? A party with 99 seats. Can it give a stable government to this country? Do you think, do those people think that the alliance partners are so foolish to give up on such a stable coalition led by BJP, a very progressive thinking Prime Minister, and go for a lackluster arrangement where there is no idea, no ideology, no thought process, and no numbers?
But the opposition feels that they are vanquished, but they are still victorious.
No, that is the problem.
Whereas the government and the incumbent believes that they are victors, but they still are defeated.
So that is the travesty. Losers are celebrating.
Yeah.
Problem with Congress is it touched its nadir in 2014 from 216 2009 to 44 in 2014. It's a huge fall. 180 seats they lost. 160 seats they lost. Still unable to recover after 3 elections. Still unable to even hit a 3-digit mark. But they have this great illusion that mandate is for them. Where is mandate for you? It's okay. BJP wanted 300 seats or 350 seats. It got 240 seats. But the mandate is for NDA. Their alliance, pre-poll alliance, got 293 seats. It's a clear mandate for them. The mandate for you is to be a good opposition. But look at the statement of Mr. Kharge. He said, it's a minority government, it will fall. How is it a minority government? And if you form, how can you form a majority government? Your pre-poll alliance did not have Mamata as part of it.
Correct.
India alliance did not have Mamata. Remove her, 29 seats that she won. You don't have even 200 seats. How can it be a stable government? So, first of all, the opposition should reconcile to the fact that although diminished, the mandate is for NDA. For us, the mandate is to be in opposition. That opposition should realize first. Then play a constructive role in the parliament. Okay, you have numbers today in the parliament. Play a good role. That's what even Prime Minister said in one of his interviews. I think
Yeah. Yeah,
TV18,
networking.
Network 18's interview. He said, something that I miss is a good opposition. He qualified it by the word good.
Yeah.
So we have to see. Today is a big opposition. But will it be a good opposition? Or every day it thinks that no, Modi has no mandate to win. I mean, this whole argument of moral right.
Moral defeat.
Moral defeat.
Moral defeat versus moral victory.
I mean, you are rejected by people. You didn't even get 100 seats. But you think you have a moral right to rule. Whereas somebody who got 290 seats,
does not have the
he
right.
doesn't have a moral, right to rule. What is this argument? So that is the real problem. That's the travesty of the situation today.
Okay. Final question, Ram Madhavji. Bharat's growth story, because you also keep an eye on the neighborhood, foreign policy. I know you don't dwell too much into it these days, but I'm asking you, are we on track on our growth story? And does the world perceive us the same or differently now?
Of course,
Compared to, because of the mandate. Yeah.
As far as the world is concerned, mandate really doesn't matter. Once you are back in power, that is what matters to the governments elsewhere. So they see a continuity in India. They have had huge hopes on India's rise. And they see this continuity with Modi returning to power. They see it as the continuation of this same kind of political trajectory for India. So they all look up to India today. But to that first part of your question, the government today will have, of course, one challenge in the parliament with a
pushing through bills
with a renewed opposition and probably whether they will have that idea of, we should be very scrupulous or not, whether they will follow that or not, we don't know, we have to see. So that challenge being one challenge inside the parliament. Outside, there are certain priorities for the government which it has to quickly attend to. For example, India is a young country.
Yeah.
Every year we are adding 20 million youngsters to employable age. They are turning 18. 2 crore people are becoming employable. Creating 2 crore jobs is not a small thing, is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
So more and more private participation, private investment has to come in to create employment generation. So there has to be a greater emphasis on that manufacturing sector, investments coming in. There are certain roadblocks still. Although our ease of doing business rankings, according to World Bank data in 2021, have gone up, have improved tremendously. But there are still roadblocks. Government has to work on them so that our economy doing well, but it leads to greater employment generation for the young population of this country. This cannot be done by government alone. It has to be a huge support has to come from private investment from outside and within the country. Second thing is we have to ramp up our research and innovation sectors. There we are still struggling. Prime Minister is putting a lot of emphasis, startup, innovation, all these things is putting emphasis. But our budgetary allocations have to increase. Again, globally, R&D developed due to private support, not governmental support. In India, very minimal support comes from the private side. So private, public investment into R&D should grow. And third, and the last thing that you asked about the international situation, a new scenario is emerging. The divisions are hardening between the Western powers, substantially weakened today, and the Russia, China, Iran axis, which is now standing up to the Western powers in a very strong way. So new scenarios are emerging. There will be, world will be dotted by a number of small conflicts. I'm not saying there will be third world war, but world dotted by multiple conflicts is going to be this scenario. So we may have to recalibrate our policies, our strategic options now. We follow a policy called strategic autonomy. Strategic autonomy means dealing with all the countries on equal footing on a standalone basis. Never easy. It's very difficult. But it's going to be much more difficult now. When these positions harden between the blocks. Then we are also a part of this bloc. We are there in BRICS, we are there in SCO, but we are also, our natural inclination is always towards the liberal democratic order championed by the West. So India somewhere will be forced to recalibrate its position. I'm sure we have capable people, right from Prime Minister to the Foreign Minister. They will probably think and do necessary, take necessary steps.
Is there a recalibration on cards of your own role?
I am a Karyakarta of the Sangh Parivar, so whatever role is assigned, I am happy to do that.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully the next time we speak with him, there will be something more to look forward to, and to also speak with him further. Always need a reason to sit down and have a conversation with Ram Madhav ji. Thank you so much. Wonderful.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.